Today on Politics Unplugged. After budget negotiations went bust, state lawmakers went on vacation. So what happens now? We speak with the highest-ranking Democrat in the House. A former Republican got a major boost in her crowded Democratic primary for Congress. And President Trump gets revenge in Indiana. What's it say about the president's hold on his party? The panel gives us their take now on Politics Unplugged.
And good evening. I'm political editor Dennis Welch. This is Politics Unplugged, and the Republicans in the legislature submitted their budget proposal to the governor. She vetoed it, and then everyone went on vacation. Last week, we heard from Republican House Speaker about this budget. This week, we hear from House Minority Leader Oscar de los Santos. He's here to give us their side of what was going on with this budget. And let's start with why did Democrats, you voted against this budget. It was long party line votes. Obviously, the Democratic governor vetoed this. Why did you veto this budget that Republicans say is balanced and it puts more money back in the pockets of hardworking Arizona families?
Yeah, thank you for having me, Dennis. The reason we voted against the budget was very simple. The budget was corporations first, Arizona last. The Republican budget handed hundreds of millions of our taxpayer dollars in handouts to corporations, special interests, and billionaires. I'll give you just one example. They handed $100 million in tax cuts to data centers owned by large corporations and billionaires. Meanwhile, they cut Meals on Wheels, a program that delivers hot meals to seniors with disabilities who are unable to leave their homes or cook. Ask any Arizonan, left, right, or center, should we be prioritizing tax handouts to corporate data centers or feeding seniors with disabilities? The answer is clear. I can go on and on. They also cut funding at the Department of Child Safety, which is the department that manages cases for children who are abused, neglected, and abandoned. They kicked 40,000 Arizonans off of their health insurance. The list goes on, and we are always going to reject a budget that's corporations first, Arizona last.
Republicans are going to push back on this, and they're going to say, look, they had a big tax cut package, $1.4 billion over the next several years. They were going to put that back in the pockets of Arizonans. And this is at a time where even the Democratic Party, it's the top priority for you guys, affordability. People are paying, a lot of money for gas right now. They want to put money back in the hands of the taxpayers. Why would you go against something that does that? It's not just corporations that maybe get a break here or there. It's people aren't going to be seeing that big of a tax break.
Well, I will be the first person to tell you I introduced the Arizona Middle Class Tax Cuts Act on the first week of session. My bill would have cut taxes on tips, cut taxes on overtime, increased the standard deduction, and given an additional $6,000 in tax relief to seniors 65 plus. Compare my plan to what was in the Republican budget, and Republicans actually increased taxes on seniors. So if we're talking about which package actually delivers more tax relief to hardworking Arizonans and to seniors, it is my plan, and that is why I'm going to continue to fight to have the middle class tax cuts included in the final enacted budget.
And let's talk a little bit about something that's kind of adjacent to the budget. It's a big point of contention was Proposition 123,
right.
The money that goes, it's a significant funding source for education.
Right.
The governor walked away from the negotiating table over the budget for this. It's not in the budget. The voters would have to extend that. It's about $300 million a year for education. Republicans tell me, look, we don't need that money. We've already backfilled this money. Where are Democrats on this moving forward? Is there got to be a solution to extend Proposition 123 before moving forward on this budget?
Well, let's take a quick step back and understand why Proposition 123 is important. Arizona ranks nearly dead last in education funding and public education funding. We have to ask ourselves why, and that is because Republicans have held control of the legislature for decade after decade after decade and failed to invest in our public education system. Meanwhile, they're throwing nearly $1 billion at an ESA voucher program that reporting recently found had a 20% fraud rate. That is unacceptable. So let's just lay our cards out on the table and have the history about why education funding is so important. Democrats are going to continue to fight for Prop 123. Whether it's in the final enacted budget or not is something that we're going to have to negotiate over. And that was one of the problems with the Republican budget. It was a Republican-only budget that wasn't negotiated. So it's been vetoed now, and that's the next step. We're coming together in the negotiating room, or we're trying to find a good solution and a budget that puts affordability and education first.
And a lot of folks have been down there a long time, myself included. I mean, look at some of this as, okay, we got the big budget veto. This is the time lawmakers really get serious about getting down and trying to hammer out a deal before that all-important July 1st deadline.
Right.
But immediately after the veto, the House voted to go on vacation, the Republican-controlled House, and this Republican-controlled Senate is expected to do the same thing on Monday. I wanted to get your take on that.
Right. So this was a fascinating moment on the House floor. Republicans made a motion to go on vacation, unpaid vacation, on the taxpayer dime for a month after passing a budget that they knew was going to be vetoed. As Democrats, we opposed the motion and we made our position clear. Stay here and do your jobs. We're getting paid by taxpayers to come in and solve problems. And the Republican-led legislature has done next to nothing to bring down the cost of healthcare or housing or groceries. We have serious work to do, and that's why we oppose the Republican motion to go on a paid vacation for a month.
But to be fair, there's not a lot of work left in terms of bills at the legislature anymore, and the negotiations are usually hammered out by some leaders in the House and the Senate and the governor's staff. So why not just take a break and try to figure this out?
Well, Dennis, there could be a lot of work that could be done. I have tons of bills, including the middle class tax cuts, including, and my caucus has bills, including providing free and reduced price lunch to working class students. Why don't we talk about those bills? Of course there's work to do. Arizonans across the state are struggling on healthcare, on housing, on groceries, on gas. It's insane to say that there's no work to do. Okay,
so let's look forward then. What do Democrats, is there anything like kind of I would describe it as a die on the hill issue for you guys moving forward, that there's no way you guys are going to support this without getting this piece in your budget? What is that?
Yeah, look, I'm not going to negotiate in the press, so I won't get into too much details, but we're looking at taking out those corporate tax handouts to data centers. It is unacceptable for them to try to throw off 40,000 Arizonans off of their health insurance. It is unacceptable for them to try to defund Meals on Wheels, a program that, again, serves disabled seniors with meals. So we're going to keep fighting for every Arizonan to have an affordable life and to put Arizonans first, not corporations first.
And again, the data center, one of that was the governor had been pushing for to close a tax break that was given. It was going to expected to cost the state about $40 million, correct? Your argument is that these were incentives to try to attract data centers to Arizona. Arizona is now one of the top states in the country with the most number of data centers. The argument there is that it's worked. We don't need it anymore, correct?
Absolutely, and it is about $30 to $40 million a year. We budget on a 3-year cycle. So if you extrapolate that out, that's well over $100 million a year in tax handouts. Again, a redistribution of wealth from working class Arizonans and middle class Arizonans to data centers that are owned by large corporations and billionaires. And we just don't think that's okay.
Okay, so let's wrap on this. Obviously, it doesn't look like lawmakers will be back unless some sort of budget deal is cut,
right.
And they bring everybody back. But nobody will be back until the beginning of June.
Correct.
And get back to work. A lot of questions. A lot of people ask me, is this the year that they missed that July 30th deadline, that July 1st deadline to pass a budget and keep government working? Are you confident that this year you guys are going to be able to meet that deadline and there'll be no government shutdown?
House Democrats are hell-bent on making sure we meet the deadline well in advance. We reject Washington-style politics, and we're here to negotiate a balanced, bipartisan, common-sense budget that puts affordability front and center.
All right, thank you very much, Representative Oscar de los Santos, stopping by here, and we'll see you next time. And up next, I'll be bringing in our panel to talk about all of this week's major headlines, including a Democratic candidate in CD1 getting a big boost from the party. That's next on Politics Unplugged.
Vetoes, vacations, and revenge. Here's this week's political roundup. Governor Katie Hobbs vetoed the Republican budget proposal, calling it reckless and unbalanced. State leaders have until July 1st to strike a deal before the government shuts down. After the budget went bust, Republicans decided it was time to hit the beach. GOP House lawmakers voted along party lines to take a month-long break. The Republican-led Senate is expected to follow on Monday. The Democratic Party's official campaign arm backed a former Republican in her bid for Congress. Marlene Woods is running in the crowded Democratic primary in Arizona's 1st congressional district. President Trump got his revenge in Indiana. His hand-picked candidates defeated a majority of the lawmakers who crossed him on redistricting last year. But it wasn't cheap. Nearly $12 million was spent on ads in the normally low-profile Hoosier primaries. And that was your political roundup for the week.
And let's bring in our panel to talk about all of that. We got Republican consultant Marcus Dell'Artino and Democrat Gaelle Esposito. Thanks for being here. Let's start with you, Gaelle. Marlene Woods getting a big boost from the Democratic Party in her primary in the seat that's in the district currently held by David Schweikert. Is it odd that the D-Trips would get involved in a primary like this, or what's going on here?
No, I think that happens pretty frequently, and I think with the momentum that Marlene Woods has been showing, it makes a lot of sense that they would back her in this race. She's racking up the endorsements, building up the war chest. She's doing everything right, and I think for a seat as competitive as CD1, they want to back a winning horse.
Yeah, and if you're looking at this from the Democrat, who's a more challenging general election candidate? Would it be Marlene Woods, or would it be her top competitor, which looks to be the former state lawmaker Amish Shaw?
I mean, that's a little bit of a tough one, but I would tell you that, look, Dr. Shaw won last time, so he's obviously a contender. Two, the thing that's most overlooked in this guy walks incessantly and knocks on doors. I have friends and neighbors in that district who have had him knock on their door no less than 5 times. And the power of shaking somebody's hand at the door is just, it beats any TV commercial you can put up. So underestimating him is a bad idea. I'd also tell you that Republicans have flirted with this idea before, or actually have done it, where we endorse in the primary, and it doesn't go over very well. So I'm a little surprised that the DCCC took this action, but hey, let's let the fallout begin.
So when D-Trips does this, I mean, is this something that the public even cares about? I mean, what's the practical outcome and benefit for Woods in something like this?
I think primary as crowded as the one that as we're seeing in CD1, I forget how many candidates there are, maybe 10 or something. Yeah. And I think it shows who is really building that real campaign, that real momentum, and who has the backing to get the job done. I think voters are looking for those sorts of signals, and I think it can really help her. Okay,
now let's talk a little bit about Jay Feely. He's got the President Trump's endorsement in the Republican primary in District 1. How is that race looking for you? I mean, he's facing a couple challenges there, including one former state lawmaker. Does he have this wrapped up? Does that endorsement carry from Trump carry the same power it did in previous election cycles?
Look, does a Trump endorsement carry power in a Republican primary? Yes, absolutely. I caught myself. But I would also say that, former Representative Joe Chaplik is also a contender. I mean, he is a Turning Point candidate. He's liked by Turning Point. And frankly, I'm not too sure if pushed that the president wouldn't be pushed into a double endorsement, but I think those days are hopefully over for a while. So I think this one's going to be a full-out sprint. I mean, there's already been some attacks on Jay Feely by Joe Chaplik in sort of brutal around, Second Amendment type of issues. And so I really think this one's going to be up in the air, at least for a little bit.
Yeah, let's stick with some congressional politics there, because Arizona is home to 2 very swing districts that are key for both parties' plans to take control of that chamber of the House. Let's talk a little bit about CD6 down there in southern Arizona. You got Democrat Joanne Mendoza is running against the incumbent Juan Ciscomani down there. What are you seeing? What's the feeling with Democrats? What's happening in that race?
I think, honestly, that's the most exciting race possibly in the country for Democrats. There is a big pickup opportunity. Juan Ciscomani's never looked weaker, and you have a great candidate in Joanna Mendoza. She's a veteran, she's experienced, she's got what it takes to win. And so I'm feeling really good about that race. I think she is the exact type of representative that would fit that district, and hopefully the voters see that too.
Never looked weaker, Juan Ciscomani. Do you agree with that?
Well, he hasn't been there that long, so it's not a huge span of time. I would say, look, Arizona's in a unique position. We've got 2 seats that are up for grabs this election cycle, and Democrats are going to target anything, under 10 points that Trump won. So, it's going to be a battle. Here's what I would say. If you're working at a TV news station, you're probably going to get a Christmas bonus this year because the amount of advertising that's going to be happening, people are going to get pounded in those districts.
Yeah. And what's Mendoza got to do to try to knock out the incumbent down there?
I think she's got to raise the money. She's got to make her case to the voters, and I think she's done that. She's really built a strong campaign out there, and like I said, she has the profile that I think fits that district, that fits the whole swath of southern Arizona that it covers, and so I think she's going to be able to really make a strong case. And with Juan Ciscomani, he's embroiled in scandal. He's been a down-the-line vote for President Trump nearly 100% of the time. In a swing district like that, it's not the profile you want. He painted himself as this moderate voice, and everything about him is shown he's just as crazy as the rest of them.
Yeah. In Trump's low polling numbers, is that going to be something that Ciscomani is going to have to overcome? Is that going to drag him down?
Yeah, I mean, it's a given. I mean, nobody wants to say it out loud, and I always get stuck doing that. But yeah, look, the numbers are a problem. And, Republicans have used it to our advantage when we could. Certainly we did that with Joe Biden and every other Democrat in midterm election. But, that's going to be up to Juan, has to define himself and try and do the policies and things that he's done down in that district to help the constituents of that CD.
All right, let's wrap it right there. And we'll take a quick break. And when we come back, President Trump gets his revenge on Indiana Republicans who resisted his push for redistricting. And to get more in-depth on the issues, check out the Politics Unplugged podcast. This week, I'm joined by consultant Stacey Pearson. The Politics Unplugged podcast drops every Sunday wherever you get your podcasts. And let's bring the panel back in. Thanks for sticking around. Let's talk a little bit about what happened in Indiana over this past week. This was seen as a litmus test for President Trump to see what kind of power he still held over his Republican Party. He had backed a slate of Republicans in some state Senate primary races there to challenge a group of Republicans who crossed him on redistricting last year. Trump candidates won most of those elections. Looks like he's still got a pretty strong grip on the party, right?
Yeah, I thought this was a lot to be made of nothing. And the fact that it got so much attention was a little bit bewildering to me. But it's a Republican primary, for God's sakes. Of course, the Trump-endorsed candidates are going to do well. And they spent a boatload of money. And so I don't think there were any surprises here. Using this as some sort of litmus test going into the general election is like comparing apples to oranges. And so I appreciate my friends in the national news media who wanted to make something out of it, but I think they wasted a lot of everybody's time.
You agree with Marcus that this was a much to do about nothing?
I think so, because the Republican Party is Trump's party, right? He may have Nixon resignation level numbers, but those are not being driven by Republicans who still very much back the president. When you look at the poll numbers among independents and among Democrats, that's where he bottoms out completely. And yes, there is some dissatisfaction. I think you saw a little bit of that in Indiana. He didn't win everything, but I think by and large the Republican Party is Trump's party, and they will live and die by his fate.
Yeah, and were you surprised at all by the margins? Because most of these folks won by pretty comfortable margins, and they were challenging incumbents.
Yeah, no, I wasn't surprised. Again, it goes back to my point. It's Donald Trump endorsed candidates won. Big shocker. I mean, is there a more snoozer of a headline I could come up with?
I guess we'll move on to something a little more exciting because Marcus here is just over talking about this. Let's talk a little bit about the budget. We heard Oscar de los Santos in the first segment talk a little bit about that. I want to get your take on what you think is going to end up being the compromise here between Republicans and the Democratic Governor Katie Hobbs.
Yeah, I hope we can find some compromise on that issue of data centers, on getting rid of some of these billionaire tax cuts. Right now, as you heard, this Republican Republican budget. It cuts 40,000 people off of health care immediately, up to 200,000 over the course of 3 years, I believe. That's like cutting the health care of the entire city of Tempe. You know, I think we're still far apart on those things, but hopefully, you know, common sense can prevail and we can win out. And I know that's a strange thing to say about the Arizona legislature, but maybe this year's the year where we see it.
Yeah, and Marcus, you don't think the two sides are that far off, do you?
No, they're not.
So what's the compromise going to be?
I don't know if I should tell you.
Wait, is it classified or something like this?
It very well may be. But I do agree there will be some compromise on data centers. I think that there was some money that might come along from some places that they didn't know existed. And that will give the governor a little bit more flexibility to spend some things on what she wants to. You know, that'll obviously put a little bit in the Republicans, but this is going to be a compromised budget. We knew that from day one. The Republicans have done what they wanted to do and what they should have done, which is establish what their priorities were. Now that we know the governor's vetoed the budget and the governor's got priorities as well, we're going to be in a compromise. And I don't think it'll take till June 30th. I know that that's going to be controversial, but I think that we can get there faster than that.
And what do you think on there? What, you know, moving forward on this, let's talk a little bit about Prop 123. The governor made it pretty clear that she wants something done with this. The Republicans would have to send something to the ballot for them to extend this. Do you think this is a go-home issue for the governor or not?
I don't know if it's a go-home issue, but it's, I think, in the long term, incredibly important. And, you know, it still surprises me that we're seeing so much pushback from the Republican caucus on this idea. This was something that was championed by Governor Ducey, by Speaker Kirk Adams, by a lot of Republicans when we first passed it. And I was proud to work to pass that when it first came around. So, you know, it was a big bipartisan issue. And I think it should be, again, this is something where we have the state land trust. It's there to provide funding for our schools. We're in a budget crunch, and we could relieve a lot of that pressure and fund our schools by passing Prop 123. I don't know why we're not doing it.
And you know, do you think that something can be done with 123? And what are Republicans telling you as to why they don't want to let the voters decide whether to extend this?
I don't think that this is an issue that will hold up the budget, I guess is the best way to put it. I don't think that I don't think this is a die on the hill for the governor. I think it was I would like to see. And so I think the focus right now will be on getting this budget done. If in the course of those conversations an opportunity comes up where they can get 123, they're definitely going to take it. I just don't, the priority right now is going to be on the budget.
But it's an extra $300 million a year for K-12 education. Wouldn't that free up more money? Because Republicans are they say they're backfilling that right now with other state funds. Wouldn't that free up $300 million to fund some of the other programs out there that the governor wants and then get a deal done?
Absolutely. You'd think that this would be a no-brainer for the Republicans, but unfortunately, you know, you have Andy Biggs as governor. He was never a big gubernatorial candidate, hopefully not governor.
Quick.
Oh, wow. You know, he always didn't like Prop 123, and I don't think he wants to see the governor get a win. And I think, you know, there's a lot of pressure behind the scenes preventing Republicans from doing this.
It's interesting. He doesn't want to see the governor get a win. How much is gubernatorial politics playing into some of this?
A ton. I mean, we knew that coming into the session that it was going to. It's an election year. So in addition to gubernatorial politics, you have all the state legislative races are up, and they want their priorities in there as well. So, yeah, sure. Of course politics are at play at the Capitol.
Okay, well, we're about out of time, but you don't think either. You agree with Marcus that they'll get this hammered out before June 30th and before any kind of deadline, right?
Honestly, I think they might because they have to, right? They're going to have attendance issues in June. They need to move fast. And if there's one thing that'll motivate politicians, it's self-interest. And, you know, they really actually want to hit the beach. So, and maybe even if they're good at campaigning, hit the doors for the earlier July primary.
All right, that's all the time we have. But be sure to join us next week for more Politics Unplugged. Good night.